What if the difference between thriving and merely surviving past 81 comes down to 6 factors that most people never think about until it's almost too late? I'm not talking about the obvious things like heart disease or diabetes that everyone already knows to watch for. I'm talking about subtle, invisible forces that can turn a vibrant 81-year-old into a frail, struggling person within months, sometimes even weeks. If you're over 80 or care deeply about someone who is, understanding these 6 hidden reasons could mean the difference between years of vitality versus years of struggle. Because the line between robust health and rapid decline becomes razor-thin after 81. Small things that would barely register as problems in your 60s or 70s can trigger cascading effects that dramatically alter the trajectory of your remaining years. The first hidden factor that makes life fragile after 81 is loss of purpose. When daily life stops having meaning, when you wake up with nowhere you need to be and nothing that truly matters to you, your body responds in ways that go far beyond simple sadness. Thomas, an 83-year-old retired engineer, experienced this firsthand. For 15 years after retirement, Thomas thrived. He had a weekly lunch group with former colleagues. He volunteered at the library twice a week. He maintained his woodworking hobby. Then, within 6 months, 3 members of his lunch group moved away. The library changed its volunteer program. Thomas's arthritis made woodworking increasingly painful. Suddenly, his week had no structure, no appointments, no reasons to get dressed in the morning. Thomas stopped shaving regularly because why bother? He ate cereal for dinner because cooking felt pointless. He stayed in pajamas most days because he wasn't going anywhere. Within 3 months, Thomas caught a respiratory infection that landed him in the hospital. The infection itself wasn't severe, but Thomas seemed to have no fight in him, no motivation to recover. Here's what happens physiologically when purpose disappears. Your brain chemistry changes. The neurotransmitters that regulate mood, motivation, and even immune function respond to engagement with the world. When that engagement stops, depression can set in, often looking different in older adults. It manifests as withdrawal, loss of appetite, fatigue, and decreased interest in self-care. Your immune system weakens because the same brain chemicals that help you feel purposeful also support immune function. The hopeful truth is that purpose doesn't require grand gestures. Thomas's recovery began when a neighbor asked if he'd help her grandson with a woodworking project for school. That single afternoon of teaching rekindled something Thomas thought was gone. He started attending a different senior center that had woodworking equipment. He began checking in on another elderly neighbor. These weren't enormous undertakings, but they gave Thomas reasons to engage with the world again. The second hidden factor is how rapidly decline follows even minor health setbacks. A health crisis that a 70-year-old would bounce back from in weeks can fundamentally alter an 81-year-old's trajectory for months or permanently. Evelyn, an 82-year-old woman, broke her toe stepping off a curb. Just a toe. During the 6 weeks in a special boot, Evelyn moved less because walking was uncomfortable. She stopped her daily walks. She skipped water aerobics. She began having groceries delivered. The broken toe healed perfectly on schedule. But Evelyn never fully recovered her previous function. During those 6 weeks of reduced activity, she lost muscle strength in her legs. Her balance deteriorated. She developed a fear of falling that made her move even more cautiously. Her world began shrinking. She stopped visiting friends because navigating their homes felt risky. A minor injury that should have been temporary became a permanent reduction in her quality of life. Your body after 80 has less reserve capacity than it did earlier. Younger people have physiological buffers that allow them to lose some strength during illness and quickly rebuild it. After 81, those buffers are dramatically reduced. Every setback takes longer to recover from, and full recovery becomes less certain. Inactivity leads to weakness, which leads to fear, which leads to more inactivity, creating a downward spiral. Prevention becomes paramount. This means addressing fall risks in your home proactively. Install grab bars, improve lighting, remove tripping hazards, wear appropriate footwear. It means treating infections aggressively before they become severe. It means maintaining physical activity even in small ways every single day, because taking breaks from movement has consequences you may not recover from fully. The third hidden threat is social isolation. but not the obvious kind where someone lives completely alone with no contacts. I'm talking about the gradual, almost invisible form of isolation where you still have family and occasional visitors, but the daily texture of social connection has quietly disappeared. Henry, an 84-year-old widower, lived near his daughter, who visited weekly and called several times between visits. To outside observers, Henry wasn't isolated, but between her visits, Henry might go 4 or 5 days without a single meaningful conversation with another human being. He'd exchange pleasantries with cashiers. Nothing more. The rest was silence and solitude. Henry began talking to the television. He stopped preparing real meals because eating alone felt depressing. He'd forget to take medications because there was no one to remind him or notice the missed doses. Social isolation after 81 isn't just loneliness. It has direct, measurable effects on physical health. Isolated seniors have higher rates of depression and anxiety. Their immune systems function less effectively. Cognitive decline accelerates without regular social stimulation. The risk of heart attack, stroke, and premature death increases dramatically. Some research suggests that the health impact of chronic loneliness rivals that of smoking. Breaking this cycle requires deliberate effort. For Henry, change began when his daughter noticed he'd stopped shaving regularly and seemed confused about what day it was. She arranged for a companion to visit 3 times weekly. She connected him with a senior center's transportation service. She found a telephone buddy program. These interventions didn't eliminate Henry's grief, but they rebuilt enough social connection to stabilize his health and mood. If you're over 81, social connection is as essential as medication or nutrition. Even brief daily interactions matter. Phone calls with friends or family. Senior centers offering activities. Faith communities. Volunteer opportunities that put you in contact with others. The fourth hidden factor is medication overload, technically called polypharmacy. By this age, many people take medications for multiple conditions. Each medication was prescribed for a good reason, but the cumulative effect can become dangerous. Ed, an 85-year-old with heart disease, diabetes, and arthritis, took 11 different medications daily. Ed's family noticed he seemed increasingly confused. He'd forget conversations. He seemed unsteady on his feet. They assumed this was dementia beginning, the inevitable cognitive decline of advanced age. Ed fell twice in 3 months. Finally, a pharmacist reviewing Ed's medication list noticed concerning interactions. One medication for blood pressure combined with another for heart rhythm was causing dangerously low blood pressure, explaining the falls. Pain medication was interacting with diabetes medication, contributing to confusion. Sleep medication was lasting too long in his aging system, leaving him mentally foggy. After careful medication review and adjustment, Ed's symptoms dramatically improved. The confusion cleared, the unsteadiness resolved. What looked like dementia was actually medication toxicity, completely reversible once identified. Your kidneys and liver process drugs less efficiently as you age, meaning medications stay in your system longer at higher concentrations. What was a safe dose at 70 might be toxic at 85. Multiple medications can interact in ways that amplify side effects. If you take multiple medications after age 81, schedule a comprehensive medication review at least annually. Bring every medication you take, including over-the-counter drugs and supplements. Question whether each medication is still necessary or if the dose might be adjusted. Never stop medications without medical guidance, but do advocate for simplification when possible. The fifth hidden threat is caregiver stress affecting seniors who are themselves caregivers. Many people in their 80s are caring for spouses, adult children with disabilities, or grandchildren. The physical and emotional toll of caregiving is enormous at any age, but after 81, when your own reserves are limited, it can be devastating. Dorothy, an 84-year-old woman, became the primary caregiver for her husband after his stroke. She helped him with bathing, dressing, transfers, medication management, and constant supervision. Her own health issues took a back seat to her husband's more obvious needs. Dorothy stopped attending her own medical appointments. She stopped taking her daily walks. She ate sporadically. Her sleep was constantly interrupted. Within 8 months, Dorothy's blood pressure became dangerously elevated. She developed chest pains she ignored for days. When her daughter finally convinced her to see a doctor, Dorothy was on the verge of heart failure. Caregiving after 81 is physiologically different than at younger ages. Your body doesn't recover from physical exertion as quickly. Chronic stress hormones have more damaging effects on aging cardiovascular systems. The physical demands of lifting and assisting someone else become genuinely dangerous when your own strength and balance are compromised. If you're over 80 and providing care for someone else, accepting help is not optional. It's necessary for both your survival and your ability to continue providing any care at all. This might mean hiring help for even a few hours weekly. It could involve adult day programs. It definitely means continuing your own medical care, maintaining some physical activity, and protecting some sleep. The sixth and final hidden reason life becomes fragile after 81 is the gradual erosion of resilience, the internal capacity to bounce back from setbacks, adapt to changes, and maintain motivation in the face of losses. Resilience can be depleted by accumulated challenges until very little remains. Louis, an 86-year-old man, had weathered many storms with remarkable strength. But by 86, the accumulation of losses began overwhelming his ability to adapt. His wife of 60 years died. Within 18 months, 2 of his closest friends passed away. His vision deteriorated. His hearing loss progressed. Louis stopped trying to recover from setbacks. When his doctor suggested physical therapy for his weakening legs, Louis refused because what was the point? When his children invited him to family gatherings, he declined because he felt like a burden. His resilience had eroded to almost nothing. Resilience erosion happens gradually. Each loss takes a small piece of your capacity to handle the next one. The death of loved ones removes emotional support that buffered previous challenges. Physical limitations restrict activities that once restored your spirits. Eventually, what would have been a minor challenge earlier feels insurmountable. The crucial insight is that resilience can be rebuilt, even late in life, but it requires external support and deliberate effort. For Louis, change began when his granddaughter started visiting weekly with his great-grandchildren. The children's energy slowly penetrated his fog of grief. His granddaughter gently encouraged small activities. A short walk, looking through old photos, teaching his great-grandson to play chess. These tiny engagements began rebuilding Louis's resilience enough to shift his trajectory from passive decline toward renewed participation in life. These 6 hidden factors interact and amplify each other. Loss of purpose contributes to isolation, which erodes resilience, which makes recovering from health setbacks harder, which increases medication needs, which can cause side effects that further reduce engagement with life. Each factor feeds the others in a downward spiral that can happen remarkably quickly once it begins. But here's the powerful truth. These hidden threats are not inevitable, and they're not irreversible. Small, targeted interventions in any of these 6 areas can begin shifting the trajectory from decline towards stability or even improvement. Finding one source of purpose can reduce isolation. Addressing isolation improves resilience. Reducing unnecessary medications improves cognition and mobility. Getting support for caregiving protects health. If you're over 81 right now, honestly assess which of these 6 hidden threats is currently your biggest vulnerability. Then identify one small action you can take this week to address it. Maybe it's scheduling a medication review. Perhaps it's reaching out to reconnect with one person. It could be identifying one small activity that gives your days meaning. Possibly it's accepting help with caregiving or implementing prevention measures. If you care for someone over 81, look for these hidden threats in their life. Are they isolated despite regular family contact? Are they on many medications that might be interacting? Have they lost the activities that once gave them purpose? Is their resilience depleted to the point where they seem to have given up? Your recognition of these patterns and gentle intervention could literally save their life or dramatically improve its quality. Share this video with anyone who needs this information. Leave a comment telling me which of these 6 hidden factors you recognize in your own life or the life of someone you love, and what one action you're committing to taking. Your experience might provide the encouragement someone else needs to make that crucial first change. Because life after 81 is fragile, yes, but it's not hopeless. With awareness of these hidden threats and willingness to address them directly, these years can still hold meaning, connection, dignity, and moments of genuine joy.